I'm Dana Hiwankarn from Elmo, and I work with the Elmo Tribal Health Team. I work Reason to Live Native Suicide Prevention, and I'm going to, over the summer, do little short spots on gardening, and we put together a garden today for you, and I hope you enjoy it. Maybe you can find gardeners in your area. It's not too late to start something on your own, even if it's one pot of tomatoes. There's lots of resources out there, and get a hold of me or other people in your community or extension offices. They're great resources. There's lots of interest these days in gardening, so enjoy, and hopefully we'll grow some great food. We have our plan laid out for this taller bed. I chose a wax bean. It's a bush bean, so it doesn't need to be trellised. And on the back of all your packets, it gives you all of these information. So this one here, it says it takes 14 to 21 days to germinate. I want to sow them about a ½ inch in, so that's not very far. And then you just dust a little dirt over it. And you want them 3 inches apart. So we could probably put a couple bush beans in here. And we're only going to put one row. But with these, we're also going to put beets in, because this grows up and the beets grow down. So they'll be able to get nutrients. And with the beets, you get two kinds of foods, because you can wait for the root to come in, but you'll also get the beet greens you can use for food. So there's that. We're gonna put things, but there'll be some kind of green in here. We're gonna do in-ground carrots. These are a special, they go deep and they're big. Carrots take a long time. Again, they are gonna go in the ground. I got some basil, cinnamon, some tatsoi, and some nasturtium flowers. The whole flower itself is edible. The flower, the root, the flower and the leaves. I'm not sure about the root. I'm pretty sure everything's edible. Kind of spicy. It's kind of fun. And there's some onion greens we're gonna put in, and some mustard. And I think it's really simple. Got our Cherokee wax beans. Thank you. I don't need it yet. Got lots of assistance here. So they just look like your pot of beans. And you could soak these overnight. Sow in sunny location, average soil after danger frost of last spring, when the soil is thoroughly warm. Some say keep, and then with beans, you keep picking them and then more come in. So these are a taller plant, so I'm gonna put them on kind of on this side. Remember they said every, what did I say, every, it doesn't, actually you just have to push them in, because they only go in a little bit. So we're gonna go, let's push them in ½ inch, 3 feet apart. There's a broken one. I don't want to try to plant that. I mean, it might work. I don't know.
That's part of gardening, right? Trial and error.
Learning, yeah. Every year I learn something new in all of my 3 years of being a gardener. I'm a toddler now. So these are the bush variety. They'll kind of be like this. And then the more beans you get, you just keep picking the beans, and it encourages growth. I'm gonna kind of do a little more, and we can thin these. Just because I don't trust it. I don't want to plant them and have nothing come up. So then I'll mark them. I have markers in my car. We'll mark these as beans, because you think you're gonna remember, and then come August you won't have a clue what you planted where and why you planted them, and you'll be maybe watering something all year long and it's nothing but a weed. No.
Hopefully not.
So then the beets go, and these are Baker Creek beads. These are all heirloom beads. These will germinate, sprout about the same amount of time. Ideal temperature is 50 to 85, perfect. We could have planted these a little sooner. These ones go in a ½ inch and about 4 to 6 feet apart. I'm gonna do a couple rows of these, because you don't want, you can just kind of go like that. We could do the row this way, but I'm not. What's really cool about this, when I was planting all my tomatoes, and I'll talk about that when I get to that project, it just amazed me at how much food was gonna come out of one seed. So they're just tiny little sprouts, little things. So 4 to 6 inches. And you can, if we planted them a little thicker, we can come in and thin them. spacing 4 to 6 inches. So you can, I think I threw them out when I did them because I didn't know what I was doing. And I had a big old container full of beets. I made pickled beets. These are a golden variety. So there's that one. Then I'm just gonna go over and kind of cover them. These could have been planted a little bit earlier too, but we had it so cold it was hard to say. Now with carrots, they are the tiniest seeds ever. Do 2 rows of carrots here. And these are an interesting carrot here because I don't know, can you see those? So think about how much root space they're going to need. And you can also, I've never done it, but you can also use the carrot greens to make pesto. Mm-hmm. So these are teeny tiny. Yes, I do my nails. So these are so tiny. I'm gonna try my best. So I just kind of go like this, and after they germinate, you can thin them. You can take them out, and even when you thin them into teeny tiny carrots, you can eat them as well. I mean, I could be all meticulous and very carefully plant 1 seed every so far, but this seems to work too. So we're also going to plant another variety of carrots. That'll do it. So these don't take much at all. They only want to go 1/4 of an inch in, so you really just want to barely cover them. I think there's something about the size of the seed determines how far you want to cover them, because you don't want them to work really hard after they sprout to see light. So I don't know what kind of onions these are, but last year, my first year, someone gave me the onions and I went like this and I plopped them in there. And I didn't know you can take them apart and plant them individually till they have room to grow, so it won't harm your plants. Some plants are very sensitive, so you don't want to mess with their roots, but some are pretty tough. Onions are pretty tough. So these are all onions, so I'm just going to kind of break them up and we'll leave that cilantro alone. So I'm just gonna probably just poke a hole. Plant. I don't know if these are green onions or if they'll turn into a bulb. I had different varieties, and I picked these up somewhere this weekend. I don't know where.
It'll be a surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise onions.
So you don't want them too close in case they are bulbs, because if they're crowded, they won't get too big. So we could do some of them close and some far apart, like 1 row close as a
trial,
and then I think they seem green onion like to me though.
Yeah, I thought they were green onions too.
I think they are green onions. Let's go with the green onions. That cilantro is going to come up into a bush, so let's go right there. Cilantro is also coriander, so it's a pretty useful plant. It bolts pretty quickly, so the cilantro plant will grow and all of a sudden it bolts, and that's usually from heat. I mean, it is from heat. So once it bolts, you get a 2-for-1 with that plant. And you get 2 plants, you get 2 herbs. So you take those seeds, coriander, and you can use them as coriander seeds, or before, when they're leafy, you can use them as cilantro. So they're pretty, and they're gonna come back. We'll water these up and then they'll stand up again, okay? So don't stress. You should see me every time I garden and I look at it after I'm done. It's like, is anything going to live? And it does. I'm just gonna kind of draw a line there.
They're resilient.
Some are pretty sensitive, but You just learn as you go. But the tomatoes and beans and squash, potatoes. When you think of potatoes, you might think of Irish, or you think of, so there's a plant, something. There's a tomato left from the first year. I know, because I know it was in here. Peppers. I mean, you think of tomatoes, you think of Italy. They didn't even have them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a New World food. So.
Or potatoes in Ireland. Those
Exactly.
are from the Andes.
Yep. I'm gonna save these because I think I can companion plant these with the peppers. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause. And this one will be mustard greens, kale, and something called tatsoi. One, because we're getting a lot of these kale greens in some of the vegetable produce boxes, and people aren't real familiar how to use it, and it's a really good nutrient-rich food, so I'm hoping we'll be able to get lessons on how to use that. Tatsoi, because Sierra's never used it, and she's going to learn all about tatsoi. It's a Vietnamese green. And then we have mustard greens, because they're a really pretty mustard green, and I'm going to learn how to use this because I don't know how to use it either, and Sierra's going to show us. And of course we'll do a cinnamon basil in this corner. We're leaving this corner alone because it's going to have a cilantro. So that's, and then throughout the bed I'm going to plant nasturtiums just throughout, just because you want to bring in pollinators. And with the nasturtium plant, everything is edible. So we'll go ahead and do the kale first, which will be just a little roly. These are spendy seeds, but you don't have to spend this kind of money on them. You can get them from other gardeners. Are really friendly, and they'll share. I had people deliver me plants over the weekend. I'm like going, whose plants? I found out later they were from the food sovereignty group. So again, this one says it goes, again, this one could have been earlier last month, but it'll still be okay now. 1/4 of an inch, 8 inches apart, and it's frost hardy and it needs sun. We're in a good place here because we get the morning sun all the way up. It's, what time is it now? And we still have sun, so they're gonna have sun a good portion of the day. Elmo is kind of a sun belt. We're really fortunate with how we are, so I'm gonna put a couple in just to make sure they, how far they go? 8 inches apart, so I'll go 6 inches apart just to crowd them a little bit. I don't think it hurts them. So I was gonna do 4 little spaces.
And I wanted to say about the seeds, if you receive SNAP benefits, you can buy seeds with your.
So look how tiny those
SNAP.
seeds are. Carrot seeds are even tinier. I should have showed you those. I don't know how to save seeds, so that's kind of one of my goals for the end of this season, is to learn how to save seeds. I had a really cool surprise in my garden. I should be marking these. When they grow, we'll know they're there and we'll move the sign. But I want to learn how to save. But I had a bunch of Swiss chard volunteer, and that was kind of cool. So a bunch. So I'll be thinning those. And I seen them, and I seen right when I looked on my bed, it was like, those are seeds. So I knew when I planted, I only planted 4 pak choi or some kind of plant that I had never. Yeah. So we're trying to see how that goes. So again, I don't want to overbury those. Those are tiny seeds. That'll be the kale. We'll do mustard. I have never planted mustard, and I've never eaten mustard except for out of a yellow.
I'll make you guys some southern style greens. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Some bacon and onion.
I've never had mustard except for French's mustard on a hot dog.
Yep.
So this is a beautiful large Japanese type purple red leaf with delicious strong sharp almost garlicky mustard flavor. So that sounds like it makes it really good.
Mm-hmm.
These are about the same size as those kale.
And so I think, aren't those ones, like you were saying, the different plants, that the coriander and the cilantro, I think the mustard seeds, can't you eat those too?
Yeah, because you could make mustard. You grind it.
Right, yeah, you grind them up and you can eat them, or you can eat the plant.
So we'll see. You can taste mustard.
Nice.
These taste good.
Oh, that's good.
Wow, that would be nice to put in a dressing.
Yeah.
Again, it's tiny bit, 6 to 12 inches apart. We're gonna thin these.
Yeah.
And they're like 1/4 of an inch. So there's little gadgets you can get to help you do that. I think they're just tiny. We'll just thin them. Just for good measure. This one doesn't have a lot of instructions, so
we're winging it.
they're the same size, so I'm gonna imagine they're the same kind of instruction. You don't need any tools, you can use your finger.
Nope. Gardening can be pretty cheap.
And it pays a lot.
Yep.
Because you get paid the entire time. I mean, it may seem like it's work, and it is, and it's being consistent, but it's not a hard work. I mean, I loved going out every morning. I would get up early in the morning just to go check out my garden. It was so cool. It was like watching a baby being born. You'd come out and you'd check, and you'd see that new growth, or you'd see something, and it would just be like, oh, you know, and you get excited. If you follow me on Facebook, I'm ridiculous. Posting all my stuff. But there's so much joy in it. There's so much, and it gives back so much. 1/4 of an inch. These are all teeny tiny. Cinnamon basil, Spanish anise flavor, tasty Mexican variety. So I've never planted this. You know, when you were a kid and you would go look through like the Sears catalog.
Mm-hmm.
They have seed catalogs like that. I spent a lot of time on those, and we were on COVID and lockdown and couldn't do anything else.
Yep.
So,
And like when you start to get into gardening, you start to realize how many different kinds, varieties. Like you think there's just basil, but like there's hundreds.
Lemon basil. I planted a couple different varieties, and I'm gonna plant some more. I'm gonna show you. We're gonna All right, so I bought these. They're little plastic labels, but they will wear off sometimes by August, or when they'll just be this bleached out thing, but I'm gonna try it this year. Just take sandpaper and kind of rough it up, and then you write with pencil on there what your plant is, and it will stay all year, it says.
But just so they know, after you plant, you gotta water them.
Water it in, yeah, water it in. So I got a picture at home.
Yep.
I'll get it and fill that up. All right, on to the next one. All right, I might look at this later and throw some other things in if it's a companion plant, but just for the instruction today, I'm gonna actually. I don't feel like I'm gonna lose the seeds if I do this.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But in those little seeds, I don't feel like I did that, and they were kind of all over. So we're doing a variety of squash. I should have done this with that one. Got that one done right too. Okay, we picked some different varieties. We got a butternut squash. That's a winter squash. A candy roaster. These are huge squashes and they're really sweet. Yellow crookneck. It might be a little crowded in here, so
We'll see.
We'll see how it goes. So I know that we can do these ones vertical. So to save space, I think I'm gonna do these ones down on this end because the sun is gonna come over here. So I'm gonna kind of fix a trellis over here. I'll post a picture when you post this or something.
Yeah.
So they can go up, so that we'll do that over here. So you want to do 1 inch deep, 4 seeds per hill. The hills need to be 4 feet apart. So maybe we're gonna do. We're gonna pick one of these. You pick one of these squash. You can do the yellow crookneck or the yellow zucchini.
We'll do the one you didn't do.
Okay.
We'll do that one.
Kids can help you with this, or not, depending on if that won't be relaxing to you, but my kids enjoy it. It's not a chore for them to go out and water the garden, or I'm just kind of getting the water working a little bit. We actually ended up with a couple, what do you call those? Orb weavers.
Oh, the spiders.
And they would check on it every day. It was so cute. And those are good. We have good things in our garden, and we have pests. And you start learning which ones are good. So you want to make a little. For these, you want to make a little. So I'll make 3 of them. So we're kind of crowding our plants in here, but I think it's going to be okay because they'll be able to go this way. We're going to train them.
Yep.
And this way, and then this way. So that way they won't be all over each other. Mm-hmm. And they can go on both sides as long as we give them room for us to come work on. Yep. So again, you're going to see a big difference in seed size. And we're hoping to get some more beds, and if we get more beds,
more veggies.
More something. Oops. So we're going to put 3 seeds per hill. About 1 inch. Poke it in. Poke it in. Poke it in. Put some dirt around it. Plant it. I'm going to do 5 and we'll cut them. You can trim them down. Just I'm going to make sure. I don't know what that is, but I know we're going to be crowded. I don't think we need a volunteer. Because I don't know how, if they'll all germinate. The luck I've had, they'll all germinate. Because I had 88 cups full of tomatoes, peppers, and onions. No, tomatoes, peppers, and tomatillos, and I had about 100% germination.
Dang.
Yeah, so it's like, if I would have put 1 per cup, I would have not had that success.
Yeah.
Butternut. And the last one is called a candy roaster from North Georgia. North Georgia Candy Rush. These are big, sweet, can be made into pies. It's kind of a fun. These ones are, look at this, is how, if you can imagine how, I know that these ones germinate. Look how big those are. Mm-hmm. So I'll put 3 and we'll let them grow, poke them in.
Maybe when these ones are ready, we'll make, instead of sweet potato pecan pie, we'll make a candy squash pecan pie.
And we'll label them, water them in. I'm going to run home and get my...
Now for the containers.
I got all mine from Pete Moss, but I didn't have a truckload today. I just dropped an ace and grabbed this. So we'll use this one. Oh, I need a... I might be a little shy, but I'll grab some. I'm really shy. Did a Cherokee purple. Remember I said I did 100% germination?
Yep.
So I put 3 per pot box, and I was gonna thin them and I just didn't get it down. So I separated a bunch, and some of them are dying, so I'm not gonna separate this.
Okay.
And we're gonna transplant it in here. So I'm gonna prepare the bed. So I'll have a cool tool. Oh, this is nice. So you want to go deep with tomatoes, as deep as you can. In fact, I can take some of this out and put it in. Because tomatoes, I'm a little worried because I'm putting an egg in here and dogs are going to dig it out. So I'm thinking right now. So you put an egg in there, break it in. Because you want to prevent something called blossom end rot. And that's this thing here. And it means that not enough nutrients are getting to the plant. So they told me to put this in when I plant my tomatoes. You want to make sure tomatoes get consistent watering, so it gets to the root. So again, I'm going to plant all these, and after a while I'm going to probably cut the weaker one out. So I'm going to try to go pretty deep here, because you can go all the way up and plant, because anywhere there's hair, which is all of the stem, tomatoes will try to grow roots, and they will grow roots. So I can pinch off. Oh, I don't want to do that. That might be a weak one now. So I'm going to add soil. Keep adding soil, because they're gonna grow roots there. And I'm gonna do something in this one called companion planting, because plants can grow together. So you see where that's all done up? And this looks like really good soil. Can you hand me that carrots? Okay. Yeah. Carrots will grow good in this. And look how tiny these guys are. These are Uzbek golden, different colors, just purple, orange, red, rainbow color. Come on. They're just teeny tiny. So I'm just gonna kind of broadcast spread these around in here. No rows, nothing special. Just remember, you want to go about as deep as the seeds, so just dust some seed over that. And I still see some seeds. I think I see seeds. It all kind of looks the same too. That is our companion planting of carrots and tomatoes. This plant I got, this is one of the ones that were delivered to me, and they gave me a couple of them. This is called a Johnny Nardello sweet pepper. Ooh. So that's gonna go. Peppers don't need a lot because they pretty much just grow this way. They don't kind of do a lot of roots.
They just go up.
Yeah. So this, I think, is a little small, but I think it'll do. Use that, and then just, I don't know about putting those onions in here actually. I thought there would be room, but there isn't.
We have plenty of onions. We'll probably be okay.
Here's our Nardello. So in this one, we're gonna get more soil, and neither one of us know anything about artichokes.
But we got it donated.
We got it donated. We're gonna fill this up with soil. From what I can read upon it, it does take a larger container. This might be a small container for that, but I think it'll work with just the one plant in it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get this filled up with soil I have at my house. I have both compost and peat moss at home. So we'll get this done, and it'll be potted up, and then we'll come back and visit throughout the summer. And if we get those other beds, we'll put some stuff in there that we have time to do. You can also do something throughout the summer called not companion planting, but where you're replacing one thing after the other.
Oh, like, what is that called? I was gonna say crop rotation, but it's
crop rotation. You want to do crop rotation. Yeah. You don't want to grow the same thing every single time in the same spot, but it's where you plant one thing after the other. So when I pull my cabbage up, I might put in something with a shorter growth thing, and you want to do it by seasons. We could have had some stuff in last month. We didn't. We're still good. You can still put stuff in later in the summer, and then you can put stuff again in the later summers, because it'll grow on into the fall, like your brassicas, your cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. We can do a load of that later on in the season. and they'll keep growing even into the winter. So there's your gardening 101 from your toddler gardener. I'm a new gardener, but there's a lot of enjoyment in it, and hopefully we can learn how to use some of these things, because we're putting Sierra, she's going to learn too. So
Yeah, thank you, Dana.
yeah, I am worried about this one. We're going to figure out how to put it up because my dog's dug in mine.
We'll protect it.
Yeah, I'm thinking we might just only grow the one cilantro, or maybe I could transplant that cilantro over.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. Oh,
Perfect.
this needs to be trellised. So
Okay.
later on, I will probably get a stick
And put it
to
in
put
there.
it in there, and then we can just tie it up as it goes. And then we'll also have on probably show you how to prune it, because you'll want to prune it later to get good growth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna water them in. I got one of my water jugs from home.
future videos to come.
Maybe even just short little snippets of.
Yep. Little techniques.
I don't know why that doesn't want to. Put your water in, and want to make sure you keep your stuff watered.
How often do you think we should water these?
I don't know if I do it right, but I water almost every day.
Okay.
Hot days in the morning's better.
Yep.
If it rains, of course, you don't want to do it that day. And I think I might overwater a little bit, but I haven't killed anything.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna give them a good watering in and decide on this cilantro here. It might find a different home. Thank you.